Hey everybody, it's your friend Kevin, and today is the first day of a brand new month of February. And to be honest with you, I am at a loss as to what exactly I'm going to present to you and talk to you about, and that's fine. It's just me being honest and authentic and unrehearsed and just out of the box, off the chain. I've got some incense burning. I was blessing a deck of cards. They're not new. I've used them before. They're Kyle Gray's Angel Guide Oracle deck with glorious images by the delightful Jennifer Hawkyard. And they've been in the box for a while. I don't think I brought them out for New Year's, so I was wishing each card, each image, a Happy New Year, and I like to bless them with a bit of incense. This incense, incidentally, is quite nice. I do like the fragrance of Nug Champa, which we used to put all throughout Yoga One, and I got used to that fragrance. It's very clean and very earthy, not too fragrancy, but this one I picked up. It's just regular Champa, and it's made in India. So I sort of like the fragrance of it, and it gives off a lot of smoke. All right, so let's find a well, the word value, I've got spirits here talking about value, gracious value. Okay, well, I'm going to go with that. There's two different ways of looking at value: how you value yourself, how you value other people, and the financial value. Is it worth it? And I would say, for me, one of the most valuable commodities that we have at our disposal is our personal time. Oh, this is a good subject. The value of time that we spend is not coming back. We're not going to get it back. It is gone. The year you spent at 20 becomes 21, but that 1 year at 20 years old isn't coming back. The year you spent at 50 isn't coming back. The decades that you spent, they're not coming back. And which goes along with what I was focusing on this morning, early when I went into meditation. And I've said this a lot in different classes, personal growth seminars, things I've done, coaching, is what if we came into this world with a clock that counted backwards and said, you've got this many days on the planet, right? There was this race against time. That's kind of tough to deal with. And what do? Would it have made a difference if we realized there were this many days, hours, minutes, seconds in one lifetime? Does it make a difference? But the day we're born starts that clock off. I mean, the day we're born is the journey towards the end of this life, even though we're at the beginning of this life. And what I find lovely and fascinating about new births, reborn, if you're somebody who feels reborn, who has come to a greater spiritual understanding, is how open and how new everything is, how brand new everything is, how exciting everything is. Folks celebrate a new birth, and in recent times they've celebrated the end of life, celebrated people for, and who comes to mind is Betty White. But one of the things, as I was watching this, different tributes have been pouring in the last little while, and it's hard for me to get my head around the fact that, you know, she died on the 31st of December 2001, last day of the year. So many days in front of her, I think 17 days in front of her 100th birthday. and I got goosebumps. So I don't know if Betty's spirit's hanging around. I doubt it, but you never know. What the point I'm making really is, she lived this life in this life and was always grateful. Every interview she ever gave, every award show she ever stood up and got, she says she's the luckiest gal on the planet. She's lucky, she's grateful, she's this, she's that. She always celebrated the opportunities that she got, that she was given, that she lived in. And one of the things somebody said about her was that she was the epitome of people who treat others the way they want to be treated. And I've really got to the point of, we, myself included, haven't always done that. I haven't always treated other people the way I would like to be treated. And oftentimes my ego has run amok and got involved and said, this is not how I want to be treated. This is not how I want you to talk to me. This is not how I want you to treat me. Blah, 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 blah. Judgment. The judgment pops up. And I don't necessarily like that. I also now realize that walking forward from this day forward is a little different than it was. And that got me to thinking about, what if, the habits we have of every day, we get up at a certain time, we do certain things at a certain time. There is this habitual day that goes along, this time that we're spending, this thing called time, which incidentally in the non-physical does not exist. In the physical, a scientist at some point came up with a clock that ticks to work out how many times the earth revolves around the sun, but that's way back when. And we're living by these. We were. I don't know how it is now in this new world that we find ourselves in. It's quite fascinating how the time that we spend with the people we're spending it with does have value, but do we really value it? And when do we value it? And how do we value it? And what do you place value on? I'm often asked by clients in inquiry, financial value. What's it worth? My time, my effort, my expertise. Now the ego would run amok and say, oh yes, well, a haircut needs to be $1,000. Well, that's unrealistic. For me, something has to be of value. It's got to be affordable. Got to be able to be available for people who this is a mainstream affordability. Then there's the idea that if it's cheap or free, I'm talking about finances, dollars and cents, that kind of thing. If it's cheap or free, nobody will value it. And that's been my experience too. It seems quite interesting that folks who give services away or give things away, or there is a giveaway, or there is something that is basically no monetary value, none whatsoever, it's free, have it. There is this big rush of people that really don't necessarily need it, want it, they just are going to take it because it's free. And that's interesting, because I think, well, why would you go after something that has no financial value? Because it's there, because you can. And then this led down the road of, we're all very selfish. We're all quite selfish. We come here on this earth in physical form to have a great life, but it's our life. It belongs to us. We're going to do with it what we want to do with it. We're going to live our life the way we want to live our lives. If things don't line up the way we want them to line up, there's a problem. I mean, just think about this. You're more likely to enjoin something or do something, follow something, find value in something if it's in alignment with what you want, and if it's in alignment with what you care about, if it's in alignment with what you're up for. That's a different type of value. But it comes up out of recognizing the fact that the self, the physical self, is here to get some value out of this thing called life. Now, I'm not making it wrong, and I don't want to disparage anybody and crack the whip and say, well, you're all selfish. But there is a part of us that is self-centered. What I've learned, and what I'm continuing to learn, is that when I'm grateful, and I truly am, when I'm blessed, and I now really am blessed, to have this incredible life, which I now value, and I had to get to a point to get there to understand it, because, you know, there was a time in I just took things for granted. Oh, and that wasn't so long ago. I've done it more than once. I did it in my late 20s and got a big smack from Spirit. And I did it again probably in my late 40s, 20 years on, and came right back down to, okay, you got to knuckle down. Case in point, you know, last week when I was talking about the sugars and the diabetes and the heart disease and the this and the that, which, by the way, thank you for all of you that were concerned about that and reached out to me. It makes me feel good. And I have to say, 4 days in, I am actually feeling pretty good. I got with the program. I stopped all of this refined sugar. I stopped all the nonsense, got on the health track, and actually feel pretty good. Done. But getting to the point where everything within me is satisfied and grateful and blessed and looking for a daily spiritual practice keeps all the other things lined up. So there's nothing wrong with being selfish, and you should certainly value yourselves for sure. What tends to happen is we don't. There is no value. We find value in certain things, but not in others. And there is this disgrace. Now, when I say disgrace, it means there's the grace that lives within us all, the love that lives within us all, the peace that lives within us all, and that gets dismissed. We don't find it. We're not likely to let that driver in. More often, we're going to cut them off. That's been my experience. How do you find grace there? That's where I learned somebody else's pain is not mine. If somebody else is pushing that upon me, it's on them, it's not on me. Not to say I want bad things to happen, but to say I don't want that in my life. I don't want that going on. I just, you know, they've got work to do, if you will, and not to use that as a judgment. It's really tough. It's really tough to be on that value line and find value in things without being judgmental. And that goes back to the self. It goes back to the selfishness of, yes, you've got value, you've got something to do, it is of value to you, and you should pursue it. One thing. But not to the expense of somebody else, and not to the judgment or the detriment of somebody else. Meaning, if somebody else's values are different to yours, they've just got different values. That's just it. And I think I'm making sense with this. Again, like I got on this tirade of not really knowing what I was going to talk about, and got into value, and got into valuing yourself, and understanding that selfishness is about you living a really good life, and knowing and be mindful of the fact that every single day, every single second, every single hour that goes by is going by towards the end, where the clock is sort of moving backwards, if you will. So spend your time valuing who, what you want to value. And if that's on it, if there's a bucket list, you know, look at the bucket list. What can you do? How can you do it? And if you're in the habit of doing the same old, and you're bored with it, continue doing the same old. We can't say I'm just going to quit my job, although you could. What you can do is to find a new way of doing the same thing. Find an interesting way of doing the same thing. Notice things about the road to work. Notice things about the people at work. Not by making false Compliments, that can get creepy. But noticing things differently and do things differently. Be in the adventure of sitting in a different seat. Perhaps altering your office space, putting a different picture on the wall, facing a different direction. Just things to switch it up a little bit so there's no boredom, there's no complacency. And that's where judgment lies in. All right, let's get to the cards since I blessed them and our incense has wafted off. Bless it. All right. Father in the sky, Mother in the earth, angels, ancestors, ascended masters, thank you for reminding us that you're here and revealing to us what we need to know. My intention is to deliver a message of hope for everybody today. So be it, so shall it be. Let's see who's going to come talk. There we are. Take a step back. This to me is all about reflection. This is about exactly what we've been talking about. Taking a step back, finding value in what you're doing and who you're doing it with, the things that you love, the people that you love. What are you grateful for? Where's your blessings? How do you get more of these blessings? And have you noticed where your blessings get robbed in judgment? But that's my interpretation. Let's see what Kyle has to say. Your angels are guiding you to take a step back and reflect before proceeding further. There is an excitable and action-oriented energy around you at this time, but you are being encouraged to review the situation before making any moves. Remember that you're a sensitive being, and should the correct steps and intention not be lined up, you could open yourself up for harsh energies or a situation that could be limiting to your growth. In order to have the best experiences in a positive outcome, take some time now to meditate on your actions, intentions, visions, and goals. Call in your angels and invite them to guide you to making decisions that will be supportive of your expansion and to the highest good of all. The extended message is that when we try to rush ahead or force something to happen, we can often miss signals, signs, and messages that are encouraging us to change course. If you have a big decision to make right now, or you're in the midst of moving a project forward, your angels are encouraging you to take a step back and breathe. What is for you won't go by you. What is for you won't go by you. Your angels are encouraging you to step into the energy of trust. When you do so, you will draw universal energy and support to you. If you've got a concern about another person or a relationship, this card is guiding you to draw back and respect the space of others. Let this time be a time of self-care and self-awareness. And when you step back, you let the universe step in. Ooh, I like that. When you step back, the universe steps in. There you go. All right, my friends, until next time, enjoy this first day of the month in reflection. And I'll talk to you soon. Lots of love. Bye.